relatively Milky Way galaxy. So for today's vlog, there's going to be a couple things that we're going to go over. For example, majority of this vlog is going to be talking about storytelling and how I believe I'm a storyteller, and we'll get into that as time goes on. So before we jump into that whole part of the vlog, I want to start out the vlog today talking a little bit about the three games that I was paying attention to. TCU lost to Kansas State today, not today, but yesterday, which means that, and I mean yesterday, I don't mean today, I meant yesterday. So the fact of the matter is that TCU was ranked 3rd. USC was ranked 4th. Both of those teams lost. One lost on Friday and one lost last night. Or yesterday afternoon, I should say. Which means that there's an opening for the Ohio State Buckeyes to get into the college football playoff bowl game. Now, they're most likely, who knows where they're going to rank. We'll find that out later today. And also, that leaves the door open for so many other teams. Because, like I said, TCU lost their first game of the season. They were 12-0. Then they lost to Kansas State 12-1. And then ended up having a 12-1 record. With USC, they lost their second game, which I talked to you a little bit about on Friday, for Saturday's vlog, which was yesterday. Now, I know that sounds like I'm rambling, and it probably did. The fact of the matter remains that Ohio State will probably get in to the college football playoff now that USC and TCU lost. Now, I don't know what their ranking's going to be. It could be the 3rd seed. It could be the 4th seed. It could be something along those lines. Because I believe Georgia, with their win over... Who did they play? I can't remember now. But they won 50-30. And Michigan beating Purdue 43-22. Those two seeds will probably stay the same because they're both undefeated. They're both 13-0. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. Now, the other score, or the other two scores that I was looking forward to were the Warriors won 120-101 over the Houston Rockets last night, which puts them a half a game behind the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, and about 3 games behind the Phoenix Suns to lead the Pacific West division, which is great because they've won all their games at home. And the third game that I was looking really forward to looking to was what Sac State did, and they won. They beat Richmond 38-31. They're moving on to play the University of Incarnate Word, which is a Catholic school, next week on Friday, or this coming Friday, at 7:30 p.m. And then it's the quarterfinals that they're playing in next. Then it would be the semifinals if they got that far. But let's focus on Friday's game, and then we'll talk more about that later. But I want to go back to the beginning of the vlog where I said storytelling. Everyone has a story to tell, whether it's a visual story, whether it's a written story, whether it's a YouTube story, whether it's an Instagram story. Everyone has a story to tell. Whether it's a picture, whether it's a video, whether it's a book of some sort, whether it's a film. Everyone has their own story that they want to tell. And I mean, I've been doing YouTube for 10 plus years, and I've told my story numerous different times throughout that 10 plus years that I've been on YouTube. Even though we're not quite yet at 11 years, we're getting closer and closer to that. The fact remains that every story that I've ever told, whether it be here on YouTube, whether it be something I wrote down in a note, and by note I mean a note on my phone, or in a notebook, or something along those lines. Every person has a story to tell, whether it's their life story, whether it's a story of fictional characters, whether it's a story of, building your building something in a video game like Minecraft, or it could be any video game. It could be building a story inside the video game, or making your own video game by telling a story, by writing down something that could turn into a book, or it could be turned into a movie, or it could be turned into a TV show, or a video game, or a YouTube video, or anything really. Every story that you've ever heard or read or watched or played, it all started somewhere. Every story, like, take for example the Harry Potter series, or the Game of Thrones series, or the Walking Dead series, or any of those things. They all started from a story. They all started from like this little tiny tidbit of information, and then they turned it into a story, because that's what storytellers do. George R.R. Martin, Tolkien, Rowling, Suzanne Collins, Frank Herbert, every single person that's ever written a book, ever written a story for a TV show, ever written a story for a movie or a YouTube video, all of that comes from our brains. Every single story that you've ever consumed or seen, or whatever you want to call it, has started somewhere, and it leads to a motion picture. It leads to a television series. It leads to a book. It leads to a video game. All of that stuff is part of the circle of storytelling. And I've told quite a few stories, whether it be here on YouTube, or whether it be building my own house, or building my own second house, or figuring things out, or watching a movie. Every single thing and I'm not just saying that I'm a storyteller because of a movie. I'm a storyteller because I've watched TV shows. I'm a storyteller because I've built some things in Minecraft. Or I'm a storyteller because of anything else that I may mention. Except for, I'm a storyteller because I make these vlogs and I tell a story. I'm a storyteller because I can write a book if I wanted to. And whether it was an idea that popped into my head one day, or whether it was multiple ideas that popped into my head over the course of my lifetime, it's all about telling a story. Whether it's a fictional story or it's a real life story. Every single person has a story to tell. That is the most important thing at the end of the day. Is every single human being on this planet has a story to tell. However they make it, that's a whole nother thing, which we'll talk about again someday. But the fact remains that I'm a storyteller, and every single one of you out there who watch my vlogs are a storyteller. Anyways, that's it for today's vlog. We only have one birthday to wish today, and that's Erica Nagashima. So happy birthday to her. There's only one birthday tomorrow, and there's a couple on the 6th, there's a couple on the 7th, there's a couple on the 8th, there's a couple on the 9th, so forth and so on, until we get the end of the year. Which is fast approaching, by the way, because today's December 4th. And there's only 31 days in the month. So we're 26 days away? 27 days away for the end of the year. And that means we're only 3 weeks away from Christmas. It might actually be 28 now that I think about it. Anyways, that's beside the point. So with that being said, tomorrow is going to be the updated weekly tasks from last week, and setting some new ones for next week. So bear with me on that. Hopefully I can get my sound back on my laptop because it went down again. But at some point in the next week, so I can finish watching Euphoria and start watching Witcher and finishing Witcher, and then maybe moving on to a third show. We'll just have to wait and see. And hopefully I'll have started and finished the Dumbledore book by the next week. So, All right, and we'll talk more about some more stuff in the vlog later for tomorrow. And I will see you tomorrow with a brand new vlog. And bye-bye.